Can it happen?
Yeah, well, they again. All right, ready?
Ready.
It's another Brad and Britt cast. We're recording this one live. Oh, excuse me. We're taping this one. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
they can't get away from saying that, can they?
Yeah, I've got Ampex 3/4 inch rolling on this thing. It's good.
Well, it's like all the questions in publications and how do I see a taping of Saturday Night Live?
I want to go to work and tell my boss, can I get a mimeograph of that that thing that you went over?
Well, send me a fax with all the information.
we still use fax. God
I know.
almighty.
I had to use one a few weeks ago. I have one within arm's length here.
It's preposterous.
Yeah. Okay. We were talking before the recorder started recording on the videotape that we use here about plane crashes.
Yes.
And you did note that, in the last month, we've had 3 pretty serious plane crashes. And of course, today we learned that part of destroying the American way of life and the American government is to start firing people at the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, because people are just doing a nasty, they're just not doing it right.
Right.
And we got to get rid of it. Can you think of a worse time? Can you think of a worse time to be doing this?
Well, no, Elon's going to put AI in charge of making sure all the planes get where they need to go and not. Yeah, no, it's a terrible time. And the question I have for you, because I think I know the answer. All of the people that he's firing from jobs, allegedly this would count against his unemployment statistics. But why do I think the Bureau of Labor is going to figure out, or he's going to make them strip that out for the unemployment rate when that shit comes out? Why do I think they're going to game the system on that?
Oh, you mean that federal government related layoffs will not be used as part of the overall? It's like when they calculate consumer prices minus food and energy, the only 2 things that matter.
Right. I just feel like his numbers are going to be up. He'll pound the desk. Oh, we've revised the numbers, and it's you can do what you want to about Joe Biden. He was sleepy. He was dumb. He took naps. It was like 48 straight months of job growth, correct? I mean, it was like really an unprecedented number of job growth months in a row. And, you can do what you want to with it. You can cry about it. You can say it was fake. You can say it was the media, but it was what it was. And you're not going to be able to top that, Donald Trump. Sorry. No way.
The impacted workers include personnel hired for FAA radar, landing, and navigational aid maintenance. That doesn't sound like a big deal.
We don't need them.
The air traffic controller who spoke to the Associated Press was not authorized to talk to the media.
Of course,
had to maintain his anonymity so that he would not be doxxed and killed by the Trumpers. Oh, my God.
It's always a matter of he does something and it's bad, and then he has to have some rich asshole get in his face and go, you can't do this. You got to change it. So some guy's going to, some dickhead's going to get up to him and, call him the Oval Office and go, if planes fall from the sky, that's really not good for the economy. It's going to kill off an entire part of our economy.
Wait, I have a question. Yeah. Answer it quickly. Don't think hard about this. Which is stupider, to fire people who work in integral jobs at the FAA or fire people who work at integral jobs maintaining our nuclear weapons and our nuclear weapon system? Which one? Go.
2, but it's really a flat-footed tie. I mean, it's like
it's not a choice.
It's really the worst. That was the story, is like they fired a bunch of people who were handling the nukes for America, and then the story I heard was they were trying to fire them back, but they had turned their phones off or something. So they weren't able to find some of those people.
No, they wiped out their computers And I think that what that did was
Stop.
they did it so completely that your email address wasn't even available to the government anymore. They wanted to show that they were erasing you from planet Earth. Okay, you're not just fired, you're really fired. We're not just going to give you a cardboard box with your stuff in it. We're going to eviscerate you like in a movie where they use a ray gun and the thing
Yeah.
just, there's just nothing left of you. So,
In
oh,
the
wait, we
in
were
the
wrong. Hey, come on back. Wait, we can't find you. Where are you?
Wouldn't that be great though if like the next day they're trying to find you and you're like, and they finally get your email address or your phone number, you're like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm gonna take a little time off. I mean, you guys made your decision.
Well,
Sorry.
all right.
It's ridiculous.
Here we got that under the belt here. Here's the list. Saturday Night Live, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, nice.
No joke. Another idiotic suggestion by a person in Congress to bow down and suck up to low esteem Donald Trump. As long as Trump's tax returns, for the most part, stay hidden, although some of them are out, I'm good with the Elon goon squad infiltrating the IRS.
Right.
The stupidest Lindsey Graham idea yet.
Oh, boy.
And don't take pictures of sharks from 3 feet away from them.
Give me the Saturday Night Live. Big weekend as they do the musical thing on Friday, which I think only streamed on Peacock, and then the 3-hour special on NBC on Sunday night, celebrating 50 years of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to go over each bit or anything like that, because I woke up this morning to find out that it was a complete and total crisis. It was, I mean, honest to God, it was the worst thing in the history of anything ever, because of the Black Jeopardy bit, which, by the way, I have to say this: Eddie Murphy,
yeah,
in 30 seconds,
come on,
was more than everybody on that show. But he is so good.
It's ridiculous. It's just like these people are funny people, and he's 10 miles ahead of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, he still is. He still is. And I don't know how Tracy Morgan kept it together. Okay. I have no idea.
I mean, you got to think, if you're Tracy Morgan, being the age that he is, and probably worshiping Eddie Murphy when you were a kid, and then they're doing a skit where Eddie Murphy's going to play you. Oh my God, that's got to be like one of the greatest things to ever happen to the guy's life.
They may be closer in age than you realize.
Well, yeah, maybe so. But I still think that, he probably idolized the guy. He probably, the guy had a tremendous career and he was an inspiration to him. But to have that guy play you on television in a skit, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So right in the middle of the skit, the part of Eddie Murphy disappears and it becomes Tom Hanks playing redneck MAGA guy with a MAGA hat on. And hey, again, Tom Hanks, it's never going to suck. It's just not going to suck.
I'll just point out for the people again who are he's played this character before. He's done this before on the show.
Well, not since 2016, Britt.
Wow. Okay.
It's been a long time. The character's name is Doug, the Make America Great hat-wearing man with a Southern accent, kind of like me. And they first did this bit when Trump was running the first time. And this has turned into the end of the world for right-wingers who profess to never watch Saturday Night Live because, number one, nobody watches it anymore.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. And two, I can't believe that the show hasn't been canceled yet because it has no ratings. So from that point of view, but it's the end of the world because it's prejudice against the MAGA nation. It's prejudice against white people.
Yeah.
It's the reason that Democrats lost the presidential election, because they still think things like this are funny. I mean, you got to get with the program, Democrats. By the way, Saturday Night Live, a Democratic program. We know that all the way through. They went all those years, never made fun of Joe Biden, never brought up his age, never did, not one
So
time.
what I think they're objecting to is that Kenan Thompson, who was hosting Black Jeopardy, comes over to shake hands with the Doug character, and Doug pulls back as if in horror that he's shaking hands with a black guy.
That was out of, yeah. Now that I agree with. That was horrible.
I think that's what they're losing. That's part of what they're losing their minds over. The Doug character previously would go on Black Jeopardy, and he would say stuff, and they would kind of turn the heads of the black characters or the black contestants on the show, and they would kind of agree with Doug, like not trusting the government and certain things and stuff like that. So it was like a kumbaya thing. But now, of course, again, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, and white America has been terribly insulted.
Commentator Benny Johnson said, Donald Trump just won a landslide election and has never been more popular with Americans. They have learned nothing.
Hey, can I ask you something? Who's Benny Johnson?
Doesn't matter.
What is he on?
It doesn't matter.
Aren't we listening to him because he's got a Twitter account or an X account with 10,000 followers, and that elevates him to anything?
It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna look him up.
Conservative Mario Nawful, that's the word awful with an N in front of it. Hollywood still doesn't get it. Portraying Trump supporters as racist caricatures while he's winning record minority support, SNL is trying 2016 jokes in 2025. Well, to be fair, Donald Trump is trying 1862 Confederate jokes in 2025. Is that fair?
Well, he's doing it. And he always talks about the 1890s, good old 1890s with William McKinley. So, yeah, why not? Sure.
Yeah. And one more. This was one of the aides to Robert F. Kennedy when he was running for president, before he figured that out and settled for whatever he's settling with, just to ruin our lives in another way. His name was Link Lauren. This show wonders why their ratings are in the gutter.
No, they don't.
Trump won the popular vote. This tired trope that MAGA is racist is disgusting. SNL is an unfunny show for snobbish liberal elites. The current Republican Party is a big tent coalition comprised of many former Democrats. Good riddance, SNL. Again, remember, they don't watch this show.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant, but boy, they all tuned in last night and lost their mind. Yeah, I tried to do a deep dive, a dig into just how close is this program to finally being put out of its misery because its ratings are so horrible and no one watches it. And the answer is they're doing pretty damn well. They get between 6 and 10 million every, for a new episode on Saturday night.
That's not even the whole thing. They have the clips that they slice and dice on YouTube, and they make money off of that, and they do all of these things. They're still exceptional, and on social media, they're very relevant.
Right. If that show and its ratings were on in prime time, if they were ready for prime time, you see what I did there? Look, it would be the highest rated, scripted show. It'd be way higher than Survivor and all.
I challenge anybody at Fox News. If Greg Gutfeld is that great, put him on at 11 o'clock, half an hour ahead of time on Saturday night. Give him an hour and a half on Saturday night, or make him a nightly late night show. He's the king of late night, as you professed a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl. If Greg Gutfeld's your guy, I don't understand how he doesn't have discussions. Haven't started to put him on the Fox television network, on the broadcast network at 11 o'clock on Saturday night. If it's that freaking great, go for it.
Britt, I wouldn't give him that idea.
I'm sure it's come up. It's had to come up in that world. You've seen the profile, the fantastic New York Times Succession piece on the Murdoch family, right? I know you've had to read. It's wonderful. It is just wonderful. But back to Saturday Night Live just for a moment. Have you listened to the latest episode of the Franken podcast?
bespeaks to the idea that I've listened to any of Franken's podcasts in the last few months. You know what? I love Al Franken, but honest to God, he's boring as shit on his podcast. But I love him.
They go through an entire hour of the 50 years of SNL. And he has whoever the co-host, I don't know the guy's name, and they just ask him questions, how he and Tom got the job, and all this stuff that's happened over the years. Worst host in the history of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, what I've heard this before.
Yeah,
I've heard him say this before. Go ahead. I can't remember.
It was the 80s. It was when he and Tom were allegedly producing the show.
Yeah.
And it was Steven Seagal. Steven
yeah.
Seagal hated every idea for every sketch. Here was Steven Seagal's idea for a killer sketch. Are you ready? Because this is comedy. He is like a therapist, and Victoria Jackson is his client. He gets her in to the office to talk to her, hypnotizes her, has sex with her, wakes her up, and tells her to come again next week. That was Steven Seagal's idea for doing a sketch.
Well, all I can say is I remember hearing about that idea, and I said, that's why nobody watches it.
It's too irrelevant. No, man, it'd be great. That's alpha male shit. And then Al Franken goes, so you want us to do the worst thing ever in the history of television? That was, and he said there were some other ones that he wouldn't name, but yes, the Steven Seagal thing was by far the worst shit in the history of Saturday Night Live as far as a guest host. Although Elon Musk, now that we're hearing the stories, the Elon Musk episode was apparently traumatic for everyone involved.
Yeah, they hated him.
Could not stand him. Could not, which is really surprising because he's such a nice guy usually.
Yeah.
Oh, and are you up to date on his latest concubine or his latest love child?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'm happy for it. And I think it is really fair. It is really fair to do the turnaround.
Yeah.
That if a woman had 12 children.
Yeah.
By 4 different men.
Right.
What would she be called?
And just kept pumping them out. Because dudes were sliding into her DMs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's absolutely. I don't know. He should see, I don't know if he talks to other billionaires because I think they're able to get a steady supply of women without having to slide into people's DMs.
Hang on. This is, in one sense, this is a really serious thing.
Yeah.
Because he is into eugenics.
Yeah.
Making sure that the right people populate the earth and have children. Because, as you know, the wrong people are having way more babies in places that we really don't like or care about anymore, which we're proving by cutting off all kinds of aid to the people that even do exist.
Right.
And he's putting his money where his dick is and continuing to have children with, of course, flawless genetic heritages. They're all from him.
Yeah.
And the world will be saved just based on him having 12 children. I mean, there is that. I swear there's a component to that.
I'm not
that he believes is true.
I'm not fighting that at all. That's absolutely, you've articulated his beliefs, I think, perfectly. I would flawlessly. 2 things about that. First of all, then why are you complaining about the condoms to Hamas? Why would that's a good thing, I would think, for you guys. I thought that's what you guys wanted. And second of all, I think most of the women who have born his children, I think they have been inseminated artificially. I think they've taken some of his seed. Now, this one, the most recent one, I think they did it the old-fashioned way.
Whoa, wait.
Yeah.
So, back to Saturday Night Live. People couldn't stand working with him just for 4 days on a comedy show.
Right.
And that extends to really the entire planet. No one would ever want to be with him in actuality.
That's correct.
We'll take your genetic code and promulgate it.
Yeah.
But we can't stand being with you. We would never let you really have sex with us. Is that okay?
But again, I think the most recent one, I think somehow he broke down and did it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, that I don't know. And I think there probably is a team of attorneys around him. Maybe they would introduce him to something called a non-disclosure agreement. I understand they're very popular.
Well, apparently there isn't one here. And by the way, what is he going to do if someone who he impregnated,
Yeah.
and in exchange now to shut her up, which apparently he doesn't really care about. I think the mothers of all these children are known, but what would he hold over the mother of his children? I would destroy you. No, that's the mother of your kids. Oh wait, I take that back, because he can always just bring them to work with him. They don't need to be taken care of at home by their actual mother. He's always available.
If they're anything like that, the one that he brought, I'm gonna call the kid Booger, because that's what the kid was really into. If they're anything like that one, I would encourage him to bring him to work. That kid was kicking Donald Trump's butt. that was fantastic. I loved it.
True. That was a winner. All right.
The Doge takeover of the Internal Revenue Service. Brad, tell us a little bit about this.
Well, it looks like that's where they're going today. That's like that they're diving in there. And do they have access to everybody's tax returns, and what would they do if they did have access to everybody's tax returns? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But again, this is crazy stuff in that, they're firing people who work for the agency. And remember, this all goes back to a false trope that Trump repeated 1 million times when he was campaigning. They've hired 80,000 new people to come after you. We're gonna make sure that doesn't happen. Of course, that was instantly fact checked, and the fact check gets plowed over and nobody knows about it. But they haven't instantly hired 80,000 people. It was going to be over a period of years, and a very small percentage of those people were going to be used for direct auditing of taxes. But those people who were going to be hired for direct auditing of taxes when Biden was president were to be hired to examine at a higher rate the highest income tax filers, because just like Willie Sutton in the bank, I rob banks because that's where the money is.
Right.
You go for the tax cheats who make tens of millions of dollars, because that's where the cheating is. Some guy who works a job where they take the money out before he ever sees it, and files a short form. He's not the problem.
No,
it's the big money people. So what's Trump doing? He is playing to his richest base of supporters.
Absolutely.
Who are, by the way, not living in fear of being audited right now. I can't remember. I've read, who knows how long, not that long ago, but the rate of auditing of high income taxpayers already was, I think, 1 in 1,000. Your chances were, but that's not good enough. It needs to be 1 in 100,000.
1 in a million. 1 in a million.
1 in a million. How about 0 in anything? So that's what this is all about.
Sure.
Because again, think about it. A good IRS employee who is on the enforcement side of the tax system is worth their weight in gold by a factor of who knows what. Let's say you pay somebody $125,000 a year to work for the IRS, right? Well, if they find hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of money that is owed, that gets paid, because that's what they do. When you get audited, you pay up. That would seem to be a self-defeating thing for Doge and Donald Trump, and we're going to reduce the debt and the deficit.
Right.
How do you do that? Well, you bring in more money, because certainly not cutting actual spending. But if you cut spending on the employees at the expense of what those employees used to do, which was by a major factor of what you were paying them, that is what I call stupid, dumb, idiotic.
I believe that's a
moronic.
return on investment. When you have an employee like
Yeah.
that can recoup that much money, I think that's a return on investment. I did get, by the way, I've gotten my tax return back already. So if they F everything up from here on out, then yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the rest of you, but I already got mine in under the wire.
It's all about you, isn't it?
It's all
about what little Britt.
I want the Democrats to put out an ad on social media, YouTube, whatever, and it says, here's how to tell if Donald Trump's going to give you a tax cut. This is a little bit off topic, but tangential to what you're saying. And they have the picture from January the 20th of everybody, all those guys on stage looking at Lauren Sanchez's fake boobs. If you were on stage January the 20th looking at Lauren Sanchez's fake boobs, you're getting a tax cut. Everybody else, not so much. Any questions? That's what I would like to see.
Britt, when you read The Onion, I know you must look at it occasionally.
All the time. Here in 2007, I like nothing more than The Onion.
But wait, they brought it back. The guy paid a lot of money for it, and they're printing it up, and it's there. But why I'm bringing it up is because they are masters at coming up with these generic, annoying names of people at agencies who comment, which they're completely fraudulent. Now, if I gave you the name Harrison Fields, wouldn't you say that sounds like an Onion made-up name as a spokesman?
It does.
Well, that is an official White House spokesman these days, Harrison Fields. Jesus. And he says that waste, fraud, and abuse have been deeply entrenched in our broken system for far too long. It takes direct access to the system to identify and fix it. Doggy, I call it, will continue to shine a light on the fraud they uncover, as the American people deserve to know what their government has been spending their hard-earned tax dollars on. Please stop. No one thought of this until 2 months ago. No one thought that adjustments couldn't be made in the way all of the money is spent. Now, these are the first people to think of this. This is about destroying the system. This is about, and wait a minute, wasn't Donald Trump the guy, one of those Republicans who'd go, you should be able to pay your taxes with one postcard? He was one of those guys.
Well, what you do is what you do is, well, he never really meant it. He picked it up from somebody else and it sounded like a good idea. By the way, no tax on tips. Have they forwarded that yet? Has that happened yet? I don't know. If
they should. Again, that's going to be several more billions of dollars. Yeah. That's going to have to be made up.
How about our gas stoves? Or have our gas stoves been saved yet? Is that on what about those dogs and cats in Springfield still eating those? So many things are happening here. I was looking up Harrison Fields, BA, Florida State University, Master's Political Science, Florida State University. There you go. Yeah.
Whoa. And his advanced degrees are from.
That was it. That's the one. The Masters from Florida State. Theta Chi fraternity. I saw that one. Theta Chi. Good times.
I'm going to propose a compromise that will never be accepted on the who's responsible for the price of eggs thing that just goes back and forth, back and forth. So it's very disingenuous for any of us, liberals, MSNBC, anybody, Democratic politicians, to right now, 3 weeks into his presidency, say, you promised to bring the eggs down on January, the first day you were in, and you didn't do it. You're not working on that, all right? And here's why. Because if you know that he has no control over the price of eggs, and he never did. I'm willing to stop saying that, and I didn't ever really say it, but I'm speaking on behalf of everybody that is saying it. Why didn't he do it? If the right-wingers and the Trumpers will give up ever blaming Joe Biden for the rise in the price of eggs for the last year and a half or 2 years, because it's a bird flu thing. And if we can't agree that that is the problem, then we can't agree on anything. But you know what? No one will accept that, because it's such a cheap ass cudgel to appeal to your dumbest constituents. And in the case of liberals, and I'm speaking to you liberals, we know better. we know Trump was never ever going to be able to bring down the price
Yeah,
of eggs on it. But to say on day 24, where's the price of eggs coming down? That's bullshit too. And we have to stop that.
Yeah, but I'm kind of tired of people telling me how to fight. We're not using Marcus of Queensberry rules, and I could understand what you're saying, and I could dismiss what you're saying if I hadn't seen campaign signs paid for by Donald Trump that said, Donald Trump, lower grocery prices. Those appeared. I've got them. They're on the interwebs if you Google it. They said that if you vote, and the idea was if you vote for me, your grocery prices will go down. In fact, I saw a billboard. Donald Trump, make groceries cheap again. Or make groceries affordable again, MGAA. So they have to own this. They have to own it. And it was from day one.
Wait a minute, hang on. No. You're confusing two things. That they can't own, and Trump actually doesn't own the price of eggs. You're confusing that with the stupidity of people who looked at those yard signs and responded to them and voted for Trump. And if you could drill down into their brains and get them to be honest and say, is that really what you thought? That if you elected Trump, that he could change like a genie out of a bottle, just come out and everything. The hens will say, "I'm good. No more bird flu. No, we're good. We're good with that." So,
but he said day one. I mean, he did say day, and I know it, and you know it, and that's why we didn't vote for it. But there are other people that voted for it, and they should be reminded that they thought that shit was going to happen. And there were a lot of people that said that the inflation was bad, and that's why I voted for Donald Trump. It's because inflation was terrible.
But it has to be more than just saying, he said he would do it and it didn't happen. You have to do. Hang on. If and you want to go scorched earth on this against these morons, then you have to do it with just a little bit more information, which is you have to get the person on the ground. It's like in middle school, when there would always be a kid who would get another kid on the ground and be sitting right on him, right? And make him say something. You've got to make them say, I knew the whole time Trump couldn't bring down the price of eggs, but it sounded good. I liked it. And Joe Biden is a Marxist and a communist, so I'm voting for Trump. I want you to admit that. Now, will they ever admit that? Of course they're not going to admit that. But
this is what we do.
That. You can't just say, as a liberal, Trump promised he'd bring down the price of eggs and he broke his promise.
This is what we do, though. This is what we've done for a month now. We as Democrats are like, we got to fight back. We got to fight back. Well, how do we fight back? Well, you can't do the grocery thing. Okay. Well, you can't do the FAA thing. Well, okay. Well, you can't do this. Well, you can't do this. Well, you can't say that. Well, you can't go after this. Well, you can't do it. You can't say the word authoritarian. You can't compare him to Hitler. Any of that. You can't. We do that all the time. No, I'm not saying you today. We can't use Marcus of Queensberry rules. We have to just go after him. We have to fight stupid shit with stupid shit. I'm sorry, we have to do that. And
so we have to be better liars. As long as we can lie better than them, we win. Do you think that's really going to be the answer?
Is it a lie to say that on day one he would bring grocery prices down and he hasn't? That's not a lie. That is the truth. That's what he said. Now, do I think that's the best argument we have? No, I don't think that's the best argument we have, but it's an argument. We wring our hands over which is the best way to go. Which road should we go down? What should we do, Daddy? And then they're over there just going, hey, they've got people with dicks swimming with your kids at swim meets, and they're, oh shit, oh my God, and it's exceptionally frustrating.
All right, let me take one last bite at this here, which is from a technical standpoint. You are correct. He promised something that he knew he really couldn't do.
Right.
And that people voted for him. And you must remind them, you have to get in their face and say, you voted for him. You knew he couldn't do it either. So don't blame us. Don't blame Joe Biden. Don't blame anything but the fact that the world doesn't bend to the promises or the will of one person. Admit it. Admit it. That's what you have to do. You can't just say, he broke his promise. He said on day one he'd do this. He'd make peace in Ukraine in 1 hour. You can't do that. You got to be. And by the way, time is proving us right, because number one, 6 months from now, the price of eggs is still going to be high. In fact, if you pay attention, they're saying it could double again. It could double again. I saw a piece right now in New York City where they would sell one cigarette at a time, or those loosies, Loosies, loose cigarettes, because people couldn't afford a pack of cigarettes. They're not doing it with eggs, okay? And the normal price of an egg now in New York City at the bodegas is $1 an egg, $12 a dozen. But people can't afford a dozen, so they're now buying them and put them in a little baggie and send them on their way with 3 or 4 eggs. So I think we've scrambled this topic enough, don't you think?
Yeah, probably so. I think we probably scrambled it. It's very frustrating. But there's always, like, when you go back, when you were talking about the government cuts and stuff like that, there's always a grain of truth to it. And then he takes it too far. Like, if you said in your house, you're like, I'm tired of these hardwood floors. I've been looking at these hardwood floors. And you say to a guy, can you do something about these hardwood floors? And he just comes in with a sledgehammer and he gets he starts prying the boards up and stuff. And you're like, well, you said you didn't like your hardwood floors. Yes, motherfucker, but I didn't mean for you to come in and destroy everything. Yes, there is some government waste in some of these departments, but I didn't mean for you to take a wrecking ball to every fucking thing going, right?
Correct. All right. Here we go. The latest sycophantic push to suck up to Trump comes from Representative Claudia Tenney, Tenney, another one of those people you've never heard of, never seen her speak. She doesn't go on the shows. She must be a backbencher to the backbenchers. She's from the state of New York, so she probably got elected in one of those gerrymandered districts that tipped over to Trump in 2024. She wants to make Trump's birthday a federal holiday. It is President's Day. Yeah. And they're all in the one-upsmanshiping themselves to see who could suck up to Trump. She introduced the bill last week to combine his birthday in observance with Flag Day on June 14th as an all-in-one federal holiday to recognize him as the founder of America's golden age. Do you have a barf bag? I can get you one.
Vomit.
All right. So if you add that in with the Mount Rushmore crap, if you add that in with the rename Dulles Airport, Trump International Airport, they're just bending over backwards to make Donald Trump feel loved, to make him feel like he's not out there all by himself.
Well, now you bring up an interesting point, because this could actually save the Department of Education. Because if they cut funds to build new schools that could be named after Donald Trump, that would be bad. So he would save the Department of Education so that they could funnel money into places like Alabama and Mississippi and Arkansas and Texas, and every other 4th school be named Trump High School, right?
Not necessary. Just change the names of the ones that are there.
If we have any schools that are named after black people, Booker T. Washington High School, now Donald J. Trump High School, right? Thurgood Marshall High School, now Donald J. Trump High School. I love America in 2025. I do love America in 2025 so much.
I mean, there must be, there are probably governors of Confederate states who have nothing named after them, so they're just hanging out there waiting for their opportunity to get a little love from.
Rosa Parks High School, now Donald J. Trump High School, home of the flaming assholes. That should be that's their nickname.
All
And let me
right.
just tell you this, that whole thing about the Americans fighting the Canadians before the hockey game, that wasn't about them sticking up for Donald Trump. If anybody thinks that, they're wrong. Forget it.
Which side would be sticking up for Trump?
Well, they carry over these things from when they're playing in the NHL, and then they're just trying to assert dominance, and they didn't care about the anthem being booed.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second. They're USA versus Canada, and 3 fights break out in the first 9 seconds.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Britt, I think the writers at the WWE and looked at that and said, it's too full of shit. We would never be able to get away with that. That is the most ridiculous, phony. How could you be mad? The game just started. What happened?
Well, like I said, they have some things that have happened when they were playing against each other in NHL that kind of boil over. And they're like, some of them are like, we want to assert dominance from the beginning. We're not going to take any shit from you guys, even though we're in your arena. So they go ahead and they start slugging it out. And then, the U.S. wins. Although the visit that Donald Trump made to the Daytona 500 was less than spectacular. I don't know if you caught that, because they didn't.
I saw that,
Yeah.
He went around the track in his stupid car. Okay.
I think it has.
Wait a minute. I got a question here.
Yeah.
And just don't overthink this. How much actual money has been revealed to have been saved by Musk and the Musketeers, the Musk goon squads? Do we have any accounting of any dollars? The answer is no. It's zero.
Zero.
Two consecutive weekends. Trump goes to New Orleans for the Super Bowl with the gigantic entourage that entailed.
I heard that was 30. I heard 30 for that one. 30 million for the trip to New Orleans.
Well, let's just say that's just a crazy left-wing exaggeration and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Let's say it was only 3 million, and it's not. It's probably closer to the third, okay? Because all the Secret Service people, all the police officers that have to be paid to, for the motorcade, all that crap. It does cost a lot of money. So he does that in New Orleans, and then this weekend he goes to Daytona, which is not about the same distance, same kind of issues that have to be addressed as New Orleans. So let's call it a clean, and we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. It was only a $10 million 2-weekend expenditure.
Right.
Well, okay, there you go. Where is the savings?
Right.
This normally should be pointed out as they all do it, okay? Because if you ask Donald Trump, would you pay $2 million, $4 million to go down to Daytona this weekend? He'd laugh you out of the building. But if someone else is picking up the tab,
I'm there.
He's happy to do it.
I'm there.
He is happy to do it. Now, will this get pointed out anywhere? I don't think so. They don't want to go there. That would be offending the king. The king. Now, did you see the piece written by our good friend Perry Michael Simon this week? He has written about the Associated Press being tossed out of the White House press briefings and off of the airplane. And his thesis is 2 different ideas. Number one, press conferences are the stupidest thing ever. The White House press briefing is worthless. You learn nothing. They answer nothing.
That's right.
And so to be kicked out of there is a badge of courage. On the other hand, it's an abridgment of the First Amendment of the highest order. That is the government.
Yeah.
That is the government trying to control
the press,
what is written and said about them. And his suggestion is that all the other major news organizations
walk out.
Just say, we're boycotting. If you don't bring back the Associated Press, we're all gone. Now, I know that Fox News, which apparently doesn't count as mainstream media, how many decades do they have to be in business, Britt, for them to be considered mainstream media? 10? Yeah. They have to be as old as the Associated Press from 1846.
It's been 30. I think they're pretty well established.
Yeah, but they get the pass. But everyone else should say, okay, we're not covering it. We're not covering the president.
Yeah.
You're on your own. You all talk to yourselves anyway.
And this is ostensibly because the
your
AP style book is refusing to call it the Gulf of America, right? That was what really ticked them off.
That's exactly right. You bring them to heel or get the hell out. And is that going to happen? No, they won't do it. They're all afraid. They're all afraid of losing access. Access to what? That bimbo, that I won't even use the word. That blonde bimbo who knows nothing except how to repeat like a mimeograph machine. Oh, dated reference, sir. To the talking points, right? She just lies her head off. I mean, did you ever think you'd be pining for the good old days of the Sarah Huckabee press briefings?
Sean Spicer.
She was
Sean Spicer.
breath of fresh air compared to this one. Oh my God. She's a little Stepford wife in training.
Fascist Barbie. Before we leave, by the time that you're hearing the sound of my voice, America, Eric Adams may not be the mayor of New York City any longer, which is record time for mess with Donald Trump and see your life turn to feces. He seems to have a vote of no confidence, and everybody's walking out of his administration. I think the deputy mayors have said, peace out. The thing about that is, with the plea bargain that finally has been presented to the court, if he doesn't have the job of mayor of New York City, his usefulness to the Trump administration is gone. Because it's no longer possible.
See, this is where you don't understand politics. It's personal with Donald Trump. He is good friends with Eric Adams. He stands behind
There's
his
nothing
word.
you can do for him. The whole point of him, the quid pro quo, which is unethical in of its own self, was that Eric Adams would allow public school doors to be open to go search for brown people, and this door over here. And since he's not in there, then it would be incumbent upon the Department of Justice to do what they should have done in the first place, and that's prosecute him for the corruption that was originally on the table. But since they were able to make a deal, which was highly illegal, but now if he's not even going to be mayor, then I'm sorry, you can't do anything for me, sir.
I think there's a place for him down in Mar-a-Lago. Okay.
Handing out towels at the golf course, is that what you're thinking?
There you go. Because that's what Donald Trump really thinks of Eric Adams, don't you think?
You're not wrong. I'm sorry, you're not